Hi, I'm Carrie Felisso. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about research administration and preparing for our final. A few years ago, I was on the Ancura board, and one of the things that we saw as an organization who was created, whose mission was to support the profession of research administration, was that there was no program to support, really to develop, no academic program to create research administrators. So what we did was we offered 2 grants out to institutions. And from that, we started to see that more research administration programs came into being. Now we have several in the country, but all of you are kind of the pioneers of these research administration programs because there's only a few and they're all just starting out. I want to congratulate you on making this choice because I think it'll be very interesting to me to see how all of you do and the others like you who have come into these academic programs to prepare them for their career. Because so many people enter research administration into one little part of the field. I'm sure that all of you have seen by now that there is a wide variety of careers within research administration. So I hope that as you go through this program, you're thinking about where you'd really like to be so that you can plan that out. But the fact is that many of us will enter the career in one part, and then that's where we build our knowledge. That's where we have our knowledge. And we really, there's some people in research administration where most of research administration is kind of a black hole for their whole career. They just know their own little corner. The way to be the most valuable in this field is to know something about the other fields. And that's what you're learning through this program. You're learning a diverse amount of information. Are you learning everything? Absolutely not. No one knows everything in research administration. If they did, somebody would change it. So what I want you to learn from this course and what you need to know for the final is not to know all the answers. There's going to be some questions of the test that you may automatically know the answer and you can check it right off because you're certain. And that's like how it's going to be in the career. But there's going to be other questions that come that there are things, well, you know something about service centers, but you don't remember that thing. So people are going to ask you questions and you're not going to know. And really what you need to know to do is you need to know where to look. And not when you're in the exam, but in real life, who you can call. Who else do you know who specializes in that area? You've built a network. So what the whole idea of being a research administrator is knowing how to use your tools, not knowing everything, not knowing all the information, not never having to say, let me check into that, let me review the word, and I'll get back to you. Those are the things that more often you're going to say, let me look into that, than you're going to spout out the answer. And that's fine, and it's never anything you should feel bad about because you don't want to give a wrong answer. You could, by giving the wrong answer, you can not allow your researcher to do something that maybe they could. If you'd asked a little more, thought a little more, investigated a little more, you maybe could have helped them. So you don't want to just blindly say no. At the same point, you don't want to put your institution at risk. So you really have to think carefully about what you're saying and why you're saying it. The other thing is that you're building information so you can make decisions about what is the best thing to do for your institution and for your researchers. So in some cases, there isn't going to be a clear-cut answer. Some things are in the gray, and you're going to have to decide where to go. And so having a broad background of information is going to allow you to better make those decisions. So I hope from this program, I hope from this course, you're gaining more of those skills which will allow you to make those decisions in the future when you're faced with them. For the final, what I recommend is you go back through the lectures, review the lectures. You don't have to listen to all of them, but you can click on the ones where you need a refresher. Click and listen to those. But I really hope that you will take the time to really look at the OMB circulars, look again at where the topics we talked about are placed in those circulars. Look at some OIG audits, just so you're familiar with how the audits look, what's in the audits. Review, I have a list on the slides this week of information about service centers is a good thing to review. Accounts receivable, the accounts receivable turnover rate, how do you calculate that? There's a whole list of items that you can look at to refresh yourself so it's fresh in your mind. But do not worry if you need to go back. You cannot, as in real life, you can call a colleague or call someone to help you. You cannot do that in the final. The final is an independent activity. But you certainly can use all the tools you have available to you on the web. You can use your textbook. Those are things that you can use in real life and you should be using. Again, research administration is not a memorization exercise. It is an exercise where you use the knowledge that you have to make the best decision that you can. So look at also in the slides from this week where it says Q rare. Look at those and really keep that in your mind. It means nothing, the acronym, it's just an easy way to say it. But what each item means is going to tell you the path that you should follow when someone does come to you with a question. And yes, sometimes you're just going to have the right answer. But even when you think you have the right answer, stop and think, because someone may ask you, for example, can I charge alcohol? I want to charge alcohol to my grant. Now, your first answer may be no, because absolutely, usually that's almost always true. But what if you're doing research administration where you're required to use alcohol as part of your experiment? All of a sudden, alcohol can be allowable in that case. So you really want to ask people's questions. Alcohol, you want to charge alcohol to your grant? What are you using it for? Traveling, buying a glass of wine? No, it's not allowable. But if someone says, well, in my experiment, I'm doing an experiment on the effects of alcohol on middle-aged men, you'd be like, oh, okay, and that was included in, you've went through the IRB for that, it was included in your study, blah, 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 just go on with all those questions. But okay, that is an allowable charge, and that's kind of what you need to think about. You really got to ask a couple questions before you say no, and make sure that you understand the question. And because sometimes people may bring you a question, it sounds like they want to do something that's very allowable, and they want you to say yes. So even when it's a yes, ask questions so that you make sure that you know that what you're saying yes to is really what you think you're saying yes to. So I just want you to really, one of the things I want you really to have gotten from this course is to know that you really have to ask questions. When you're asked a question, you need to know what you're answering, and I want you to be able to use your tools to find the answer. So on the final, really how you prepare for this final is reviewing the tools that we've learned during this semester. And as you prepare for this final, if you have absolutely any questions, as always, please send an email and we'll work through them. Thanks.